Good evening, everyone. This video is going to be a trading review and support session for May the 31st, 2023. So I had a pretty good day today, but may have pushed the button a little bit too much and sometimes a little bit too soon, but it all worked out. So I'm going to go through. We're right in the middle of the the House, and then after that the Senate, trying to pass the debt ceiling limit. So that's added to some volume and a little directionality. They were a little nervous today, and I wanted to start off with, well, let's just go ahead and go through the daily, but just as important. So this was today, right? Ended up being a down day, not necessarily a big surprise. Had a down day yesterday, down day today. Now they may be voting on. This is Wednesday. They may be voting on. The House may be voting on the debt ceiling tonight. That was the indication that I had heard, but I haven't seen anything just yet. Oh, actually, they did. I just opened up the news. The House did okay the debt ceiling bill and sends the deal to the Senate. So it passed the House, and so heading to the Senate. It's expected to pass in the Senate as well. So no no default is on the horizon. So it'd be interesting to do tomorrow to see how that plays out. Here's the big picture chart that I kind of wanted to go through, right? What we were looking at when we started this morning. So this was yesterday, right? And what this is the picture that I kind of drew, this morning, right? Except we didn't have the complete picture as of then. And then so the market opened here, right? So as you can see, it was kind of negative. And I traded a little bit too early, but I wasn't too afraid of the upside today, but I did end up trading kind of early. So primarily my trades were to the short direction, two longs and the rest short. Ironically, the two longs I took worked without having to add any contracts to it, and several of the shorts that I took had to I didn't necessarily have to, but I did add to them. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to kind of go through that I wasn't too afraid of adding and jumping in a little bit early this morning. So that was kind of like the big picture. I'll do it again tomorrow. Ultimately, it did break out of the trend line, right? This would be a very amateurish trend line that I manually drew. Ultimately, it did break out of that at about 10:30 or so. So afternoon trading was finished up off the lows a little bit, but it was still a down close as we saw. Right, this was yesterday's close. This is today's close. So yesterday's close is about, call it 16ish. Today's close about 90. So about 20, mid 20 points down or something like that. All right, so with that said, as kind of the backdrop, let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that, and we'll go into the trade date trading. And we did have both 6:45 news this morning and 7 o'clock news. 7 o'clock news was jobs report. And the 6:45 news, I'm doing this from memory. I better go back and check to make sure. The 6:45 news was, Chicago PMI, which actually came out to be kind of negative. And then the job openings was a little bit positive. So a little conflict there. Some in favor of for the Fed and some not so much. All right. So goes to the trades. So this was, we were coming from, below the EMA. This is a little bit before the open. So, and this is only 2 bars into the open. So yeah, a little bit too soon, kind of in the double bottom. They surprised me a little bit, and they went up, even though I wasn't too terribly afraid. But if I hadn't have gone short here, I would probably take in one long trade and then maybe one short trade there, and maybe two. But as it ends up, I ended up I would have been more efficient, but maybe not quite as much profit. We'll see. So here's one, and then here's two. I didn't put the numbers on there, and there's three. So this was close to S1. This is a little break after S1, and then a shot up here, right? And this was yesterday's low and VWAP, right? I still had the 2x200, even though at that point I was saying, well, are they really in a pretty good mood? So I added, one here, right at after it hit, kind of went sideways here a little bit, hit yesterday's low and VWAP, and so that was able to do it. So I got out of all of those, and it continued to come down. So I didn't have to get quite as aggressive, but I was trying to get out, maybe around in this area, but it never came back down to there, and so it came back down. So could have done without quite as many units, but it worked out. Then I coulda, woulda, shoulda maybe gone in a little bit earlier, but I was happy to be out, right? So I didn't get back into another similar kind of trade, right? So went in there, and now I can't find if I didn't write my out level on that. So let's see. Oh, I got out right here, right? So I was out right around here. Okay, so that one is a single unit kind of trade. Now let me move the chart over a little bit. That one to the short side. Then here's one of my long trades, right? So we're above the 3-minute moving average. We've talked about that the last couple of days, and above everything else. So I'm feeling okay to be on the long side. Long here, right, back up to yesterday's low, and I'm kind of watching it, and it's kind of nearing the 645 news. So here's the 649 news came out, and the news was negative in terms of the Chicago PMI, which means the Fed might like it, which means it's a positive for the market. So I did take that another long trade in and out there, but it's sell on the news kind of thing. So came back down, maybe a little bit late on this trade right here, back to the 3-minute moving average. So it is with the downward trend. So but it's running into a little bit of support. So that didn't work. Came back up here, had a pretty good down bar, right? After got some rejection up here around the slow flex and the 3-minute close, right? Added there and then out there, right? So then my finger was a little bit happy, right? So then I'm still thinking that it's going to come back down, but it wasn't quite ready yet. So broke down out of the previous volume porting control and the open. So entered there, that didn't work. Entered here on initially some rejection around this area. Oh, it's actually here, right? So say that doesn't look good. This is better, right? So still with the slow flex. Entered in a third here, right? So I am a little bit on the aggressive side today, but then out again with profits. Could have gotten more. This might have been the one. Since I was around the 3-minute moving average, I may have taken a little bit less profit than I normally do. Now it's 652, and I'm probably waiting for the news. Yeah, so here's the news, right? The news was pretty high in terms of higher than forecast for the jobs, JOLTS jobs opening. So again, maybe a little bit late. Well, it's kind of looking, made a new all-session low, kind of was waiting for a little bit more of a push down. That didn't happen, and so let's see. Let me go back because I don't see another unit that I added. Nope, didn't add anything else. This is just a singular entry and out over here. So that was that trade. Here's a let's see, where's this entry? I see. Oh, here's all right. So this one, you know, what I am noticing, and the reason I'm taking some of these trades, everything is holding to the downside, right? If it's not the EMA, then it's these minute averages and that sort of thing. So I didn't really want to violate it completely because it was still above slow flex. So, but I did take one here, and then came back to the EMA, right, and had a rejection bar at the EMA, added to it, and then out there, right. So, so here's a single unit trade, yay. So again, everything is with the trend, everything's to the downside. Take it here, out there. Let's see, and then one point I was doing okay. This one doesn't look too bad, but I think I decided to like slow down a little bit, and then yeah, this is when I wasn't necessarily looking, right, but then I heard some things. And so I took a unit here, right, pretty low, right, and had to take a second one. And was this one? Oh, no, I'm out here. Let's see. Let me see if, let's see, 723. Let me just double check to make sure that was only 2 units. Yeah, only 2 units. Only 2 units. And then out. And then one more trade. I thought I was kind of done, but then again, I heard some things and turned around and took kind of a late trade. Somewhere a little bit earlier would have been better, but I took that trade and that was out. All right. So at that point, I decided, well, you know, I better minimize my dome because my finger seems to want some exercise today. So that was my my last trade. Okay efficiency. I mean, so I had multiple unit trades, no reverses, but had some multiple unit trades. So ended up with 14 points gross, and you know, reasonable efficiency. No big time problems or anything. So it should be an interesting day tomorrow. So it may get some action from the House, having approved the debt ceiling, but it's still going to be at the Senate, right? So it's not going to be through the Senate tomorrow morning, right? But but we will check it in the morning to see if we're getting any clues on when it might hit the Senate floor, and so we'll see how that reaction goes. So I would kind of expect it to be good news. Let's see how the market's not necessarily reacting too much positive at all. I mean, we're right now the market is a little bit under yesterday's close. Let me go to the real time. Right, so here's yesterday's close. It was over, but see, it's kind of trailing off now, right? Things are to the downside, so it's underneath yesterday's close. But you know, the London market will have its vote, and then we'll get into closer to the U.S. market tomorrow morning. All right, any questions on that, Sean? Oh yeah, this one, it's not a new line, right? So this text right here is just a text reminder of and that's right. Let me explain this a little bit. I think we talked about it, but you weren't here. It's a 3 MA, so it's the 3 minute moving average. which is the same thing as this one up here, right? But I never really look up there often enough. So I wanted something in my face, right, to remind me which side of the 3-minute moving average we are on, right? So here's the 3-minute moving average up here, but I don't really want to print it up here. I want it in my face so it's close to the price action, right? So if we're below the 3-minute moving average, then it's going to show 3MA red in red, right? If it's above the 3-minute moving average, it's going to show the 3MA at the previous 3-minute 5-second close. See, it just popped down quite a bit, and it's going to be green. It's as simple as that. It's just a visual reminder of where the price action is at, similar to what Slowflex is, but we're always going to be in the range of Slowflex, right? So I don't need to do anything funny, so I'm just going to put the Slowflex either in red or green, and it's going to print at the level of Slowflex, right? So it's another market alignment. The 3MA is of course the longer term, so we're still looking for the same kind of good setups, right? But you know, instead of we don't want to push things too much. For instance, in the long direction, if we're below the 3MA. Same way we don't want to push too much in the short direction if we're above the 3MA. In fact, some people, and you know, I may try to get there. I'm not sure. I mean, it was today. I didn't take anything. I stuck with the trade, even though it bounced above the 3MA, that initial one, right? I kind of stuck with it only because I had previously, before the open, kind of analyzed the market and what I thought, right? So yeah, I had an opinion, and if it had gone too far the other way, I would have had to fight it a little bit. But that's what that is, right? It's just a you don't have it yet, right? It'll be another software release before you get it, right? So there's two changes. One, you know, they're simple changes, but Slowflex is a change to the short-term time analysis, short-term trend analysis, and the 3MA comes from the time analysis. So both of those will be little changes. I like it. I think it's going to calm me down a little bit in terms of my concerns about the market going the other way. You know, those things. You know, I'll concentrate on taking trades in the overall direction and just kind of like hang in there. I'll let the market come to me. So that's my intention with this, just so kind of increase focus in one direction. All right, so yep, thanks for reminding me that you hadn't seen that the last day. It was on the chart yesterday too, and it'll be on there. You know, there's really no reason why I can't release that. You know, maybe this coming weekend, right? I mean, it's already done. A request was made and I've already implemented, so you have control over how big you want this font, the text to show, and if you want to move it left or right a little bit as well. So both of those things will be under your control as soon as I release it. All right, anything else? Okay. All right, Sean. Hopefully we'll see you in the room soon. Have a great rest of your night, and hopefully your allergies don't go too terribly crazy. We'll see you soon.